Hello, my name is Maya Matthews, and I'm doing my research paper on different ways we can reform the criminal justice system to benefit the common people. And just to give a brief background of the criminal justice system, the criminal justice system was founded in the early colonial days, um, in which this time it lacked structure, rules, and regulations for crime and other indecent behaviors. During this period, they believed in religion in biblical terms. And really, the religion in the biblical terms was the mean to decide on what punishment should be given out, or if any at all. And this time, that's where it was stoning and whipping and other really inhumane punishments were done back in this day, back in this time. Then it changed, it had a reform. During this time, America decided, let's have the law of morality. What is moral? What let's believe off of beliefs and just moral reasoning and moral logic instead of just solely using religion in biblical terms to justify the different things that were happening. Um, Now, with this reform, came along policing. And then this time, that's when it was just people that was volunteers from the community, um, who was back then called night watchmen before it was any New York Police Department or, Baltimore PD. Um, After the American Revolution, fast forward to the American Revolution, um, it was in the Civil War, there was a big reform as well. And this time in the early 1900s, this was created. They created the FBI, the juvenile justice system was created, and other laws to protect citizens, along with creating different um, sentencing for people who committed crimes, prisons and jails as well. So that's a brief background that I wanted to go on and just to kind of show in which direction I'm going. Um, with the creation of the criminal justice system, um, there was a lot of laws and bills being created. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, which gave you the amendments and things like that to show you what your rights are as human beings and as citizens. With this, it gives the room to where, or really the question to ask, um, when times change, there should always be some type of reform made. And the reason why I'm saying reform, or just really um, making reform, really big or really important, is because every single time there was change in the country, within the society, there were always a reform in the criminal justice system. And so now I want it to be reformed to where it suits everyone, not just a certain group of people or group of individuals, just everyone, which are common people who are free and who can and who wants to live their everyday lives, just like everyone else. And within my research paper, um, I will be pinpointing or really stressing minorities. And in this case, minorities will be women, people of color, those African Americans, Mexicans, Asians, etc. Um, I think nowadays is really it's really important to reform the criminal justice system because so much is happening in today's society. Everything has changed. A lot of things have changed, and so should different laws and regulations. Um, Now, minorities are feeling as if they're not being treated equally, and that there's a lot of discrimination going on, and it's not fair to common people who just wants to live their everyday lives, and when they're getting any sort of trouble, um, they either throw the book at them, throw the law at them, or justice is not served. So that's why I really want to do this research paper to find different ways to see how we could go about reforming the criminal justice system to help minorities. And the reason why I really pointed out women and people of the LBGT community, our LGBT community, and African Americans, because it's really the time now is really important, and it's really on national television almost every day about either one of these minorities. So that's why I wanted to do a research paper on it. And with my research paper, I will be looking up, um, well, I have looked up different ways on how women can be treated equally in today's society. Because back then in the 15th century, or just before the 20th century, um, women were only allowed to clean, cook, and tend to children. No education, no nothing. Those were that's that was their job. And African Americans were slaves and couldn't get any education, or any type of land, anything like that. And for anybody of the LGBT community, they were, it wasn't allowed. And although it was harsh, a lot of them were killed or beaten to death because of their sexual preference. So now I want it to be reformed because people's sexual identities shouldn't be discriminated against, and just because of their gender, they shouldn't be discriminated. They shouldn't be discriminated against if just because they're the color of their skin. So I think that with everything that's going on in the world, I feel like this reform will make a big difference, and will show people that times have changed and they need to accept what's going on in the country. And with that being said, women need to have equal pay, and women shouldn't be looked at as less than as men, because women can get the job done just as well as men, and can get an education, and can tend to the children while cleaning and cooking as is everyday life. And African Americans can own things and do own things and can get an education and will get an education. And the LGBT community